YouTube, of course, the evangelists right now are saying the nation is cursed. We're Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0, because the Supreme Court, of course, came out, and they got rid of the Defense of Marriage Act, which, of course, was unconstitutional. It's fairly clear that it was unconstitutional and should have been thrown out ages ago, but it prevented gay couples in states where it's legal from obtaining federal benefits. And Proposition 8 is now essentially dead, because the court ruled that, well, they didn't rule, they simply stated they can't rule on it because the people who were attempting to defend Proposition 8 had no legal standing to do so. It's a technicality which was generally expected that they would understand. Nobody expected it to become federally legal everywhere. Nobody expected them to uphold DOMA, except for a few blowhards who were hoping beyond hope that we'd return to discriminating against a large segment of the population. But the evangelical tears right now are delicious. There were a lot of people, well, a handful of people, but I'm sure there were more that I didn't notice, coming out and saying, well, the Supreme Court's finally going to ban gay marriage nationwide. And they honestly believe this. A few people honestly seem to think this was the case, that DOMA would be upheld and that actually it would become illegal everywhere. How they came to this conclusion and used their weird logic to come to the conclusion that it was likely, I'm not sure, but they were predicting it anyway. But I've been drinking Christian tears all morning on CNN's article, on ICQ, of course the chat, Christianity chat, where people are all up in arms about it. There were 3 or 4 Christians there. They were like, we're like Sodom and Gomorrah now. It's terrible. We're going to be cursed. And I simply told them it's been legal here in my state for over a decade. We haven't been cursed. We're doing just fine, essentially, and gays are allowed to marry here. Well, explain that one to me, and explain how the states that have the most disasters all seem to be in the Deep South, constantly getting hit by hurricanes and floods. And they're not able to actually point out how that makes any sense, but apparently we're the ones that are cursed. Cursed with a high education rate and, you know, the second healthiest children in the country. Yeah, we're terribly cursed. And I made a video about that once, actually, that was funny. But the evangelists and the bigots, which are essentially the same thing, because the evangelicals are simply bigots that use the Bible to disguise their bigotry in the veil of religion, they're so upset right now. You can tell how frustrated they are. They're not even really talking about the gay marriage issue. They're trying to talk about degeneracy in general. And I think they do that for one reason. I think they've realized now that they've lost the gay marriage issue, that fairly soon it's going to become federally legal. It's only a matter of time. There's really nothing they can do to put it off. I think 3 states, including California now, because Prop 8 is gone, have legalized it this year. There were a couple of states that legalized it last year, I believe, as well. And there are some more planned for this year that may legalize it. I think they finally realized that they've lost. Now, of course, I'm a libertarian. As a libertarian, I say, I don't care. It's not up to me to issue some sort of moral judgment and attempt to enforce it through a secular law system that has nothing to do with morality or shouldn't onto the rest of the population. Even if I opposed gay marriage, I don't. I have no problem with it. Even if I opposed gay marriage, I can go to other people and say that. I can say, I think it's wrong, here's why, A, B, and C. I can go to I could go to a church and talk about how it's wrong. I could go to a school and talk about how it's wrong. I could bring it up in a town meeting. I could do whatever I want. I could write a senator. I could talk about it to my friends and family. But it doesn't give me a right to attempt to affect legislation that would discriminate against a minority segment of the population. That's kind of how libertarianism works. And I laugh about the self-proclaimed libertarians, the so-called libertarians that are actually, and we all know this, neoconservatives and evangelicals, who are taking this as a bad thing and saying we've lost sight of our true traditions and morality. That's not what libertarianism is about. It's about mind your own fucking business. That's the truth of libertarianism. The government should mind its own business. It's got its own functions. Leave people's social lives alone. People have all of their rights and their own business. Leave each other alone. If you don't like someone's decisions, don't be party to them. Don't be anywhere near them. If you don't like your neighbor, move out. It's your right. You can do it any time that you want to. But it's all about, and the liberals and conservatives do this equally, my feelings! I feel so bad! My feelings! And they do it constantly, and they say, well, those terrible conservatives are trying to take away my right to, grow these tree frogs in my backyard, or these terrible liberals are taking my guns away, and it all boils down to my feelings. The libertarian line would be, yeah, you're both completely ignorant. That both of these groups want to take a bunch of rights away, and they don't know how to leave other people alone and trust that other people will leave them alone. Leave each other alone. If gays want to get married, let them do it. Fuck the Bible. It makes no difference. The Bible is not what this country is founded on. The Bible has nothing to do with our law system. Christianity has nothing to do with it. Jesus is not the president. The saints are not the Senate. That's not the way it works. It's a secular system. Get over it. If you want to live in a Christian nation, you're more than free to go to some Christian nation. Most of them are in Africa, by the way. You can go there, and you'll see Christianity legislated, and you'll see how wonderfully that has worked out for them, aka not very well. So thank you to the Supreme Court for finally making a good decision out of a string of ones that made no sense, like the one they did about fucking the right to remain silent, which their decision on that made absolutely no sense and is suspicious at best. But this was a good decision by them, and they made the right decision also by not legalizing it nationwide. Even though I would support it, I don't believe the court should be the one that makes that decision. It should go through the legislature. Otherwise, that just gives fodder to the evangelicals, and they say, well, they're legislating from the bench. They're being too activist. We're tired of this. We don't trust the court anymore, even though we trusted it in the first place when it used to discriminate against gay people. And that's about all I have to say. I'm happy about this because it pisses the evangelists off. Nothing makes me happier than watching them rant, and they'll be doing it probably